The time is 6:15. Here is the news edited by Dilini Gunawardena, read by Victor Raj. Here are the headlines of the local news. Calling applications for the Phase 2 of the Aswasama Welfare Benefit Program will commence this week. Dr. Ramesh Pathiran requested the trade unions to quit the trade union action, considering the inconvenience faced by the patients. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena emphasizes that the government cannot function without a proper financial management. Cabinet nods for the proposed housing program for Sri Lankan overseas employees. National and children's hospitals are to be built in Biagama. Foreign news: Delhi police fires tear gas to thousands of protesting farmers. Sports news: Swimming. Sri Lanka's aquatic heroines make the nation proud. Local news in detail. State Minister Shehant Semasinghe said that calling new applications for the Phase 2 of the Aswasama Welfare Benefits Program is scheduled to commence next Thursday. Anybody can apply for this scheme. 2.4 million citizens would benefit in this phase. State Minister Semasinghe emphasized that the government has no intention of using this scheme for political gains. The whole selection process will take part in an ultimate, transparent and impartial manner. 205 billion rupees has been allocated for the scheme under Phase 2. The convener of Health Trade Union Alliance, Chandaka Dharmavikrama, says the health sector workers have decided to continue its strike launched over disparities in allowances. A collective of 72 health trade unions resorted to a strike this morning to urge the government to provide them with an allowance similar to that of the disturbance, availability and transport allowance given to doctors. President of the Public Services United Nations Union, Muratatwe Anandathero, told media that their union will not take part in the strike, risking the life of patients. Meanwhile, the Minister of Health, Dr. Ramesh Pathiran, requested the trade unions to quit the trade union action, considering the inconvenience faced by the patients. He further added that the government has increased the salary of all the government servants due to the financial hardships faced by them in the prevailing crisis. The approval of the Cabinet has been received to a proposal seeking to implement a housing program for Sri Lankans employed overseas. The Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment collaborated with the National Housing Development Authority and the licensed banks and planned to implement a housing program for migrant workers, where it was expected to grant a maximum of 10 million rupees as a loan grant and contribute a portion of its loan interest amount by SLBC. The loan amount obtained under the proposed loan scheme should be paid by foreign exchange remitted through legitimate channels within the period the loan receiver is engaged in overseas employment, and payments would be made in Sri Lankan rupees once the foreign employment is completed and they return to Sri Lanka. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Your next generation digital banking partner, People's Bank.
Continuing with more local news, the government says plans are afoot to establish a National Hospital and a Children's Hospital in Biagama area of Gampaha district due to the high demand for the health services in the area. As a result of the growing population and industrialization in the Gampaha district, it acts as a major service delivery center. Accordingly, the government has recognized the need to build a national hospital and a children's hospital there in order to meet the rising demand for health services. On that account, Cabinet green-lighted a proposal to implement the project after acquiring 2 plots of land located in Biagama North and providing basic infrastructure. The project is planned to be carried out under a public-private partnership. The chairman of the Sri Lanka Data Protection Authority, Arjuna Herath, has announced the imminent finalization of the rules and regulations crucial for overseeing the protection of citizen rights within both public and private sector entities involved in personal data processing. This initiative, emphasized in the preamble of the Personal Data Protection Act, aims to not only ensure compliance but also foster an environment conducive to digital economic growth and innovation. The authority commended operations as the governing body responsible for regulating citizen rights protection in personal data processing across sectors last October. Looking ahead, the Data Protection Authority aims to engage stakeholders in crafting policy frameworks and regulations, with plans to unveil these initiatives in the latter half of the 2024 and early 2025. That ends local news.
Enjoy seamless shopping. Open LCs, settle bills and transfer funds instantly, anywhere and anytime. With People's Bank Digital Solutions, you're empowered to do more, whenever and wherever you want. Unlock a world of modern banking conveniences with People's Bank, your next generation digital banking partner. People's Bank.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardene emphasizes a government cannot function without a proper financial management. Recently, the President explained the critical situation the country is facing at the commencement of the new Parliament session. Therefore, everybody should do their best to overcome the economic crisis. The Minister made these remarks responding to a query by the journalist at the weekly Cabinet media briefing held today at the Government Information Department. That ends main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, the Department of Government Information said the Cabinet has granted approval to implement a pilot project to introduce courses on artificial intelligence to the school curriculum starting from grade 8. A pilot project has been designed to introduce artificial intelligence courses to general education. Furthermore, it has been decided to digitalize the schools selected to carry out the pilot project, and the facilities provided by the Microsoft. 100 information and communication technology teachers are to be trained by the trainers of Microsoft in order to carry out the project in Sri Lanka. That came to you on Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
Headlines first. Delhi police fires tear gas to thousands of protesting farmers. Hundreds of thousands lose power in Australia after weather downs power lines. A troika will be set up to limit global warming to 1.5 Celsius degrees. World news in detail. Police in northern India have fired tear gas to prevent thousands of protesting farmers demanding minimum crop prices from marching on Delhi. The capital is ringed by razor wire, cement blocks and fencing on 3 sides to keep protesters at bay. Farmers say their demands have not been met by the government. Indian farmers from an influential voting bloc and analysts say the government of Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be keen not to alienate them in a background where his Bharatiya Janata Party is seeking a 3rd consecutive term in power in general elections this year. Large chunks of Australia's Victoria state lost power this afternoon when a major power plant that shut down because a storm knocked out parts of the state's electricity transmission network. AGL's Loy Yang, a power station responsible for about a third of the state's power, was forced to shut down this afternoon after several towers along a major section of the state's transmission network collapsed in bad weather. In a social media post, State Emergency Minister Lily D'Ambrosio said over 500,000 homes or businesses had lost power. The United Arab Emirates, Azerbaijan and Brazil, former and future hosts of the UN climate summits, are joining forces to push for an international agreement to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Azerbaijan will host this year's United Nations climate event in November as well. Last week, European climate monitors reported that for the first time global warming had exceeded temperatures of 1.5 Celsius over a year. The El Nino weather phenomenon that warms the surface waters in the eastern Pacific Ocean made 2023 the planet's hottest year in global records going back to 1850. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Delhi police fires tear gas to the thousands of protesting farmers. Hundreds of thousands lose power in Australia after weather downs power lines. A troika will be set up to limit global warming to 1.5 Celsius degrees. That ends world news. Moving on to development news. Yahoo Finance website has placed Sri Lanka among 15 friendliest countries in Asia. These were ranked after considering 4 sources. Yahoo Finance and Insider Monkey's articles on 30 friendliest countries in the world and 20 most immigrant-friendly countries in the world. HSBC's Expat Explorer rankings that list the top 46 destinations for expat living and passport index welcoming countries rank 2024, which ranks countries on how many passports they accept visa-free, with visa on arrival or electronic travel authorization. That came to you on Development News.
Moving on with sports news.
Sri Lanka's talented young aquatic athletes excelled at the BIMSTEC Youth Aquatic Championship, earning a proud third place among tough competition from neighboring countries. The team brought home a total of 14 medals, including 1 silver and 13 bronze, showcasing their excellence on the international stage. Leading the team was Dinali Karunadas of Visakha Vidyalaya, securing an impressive 4 bronze medals. The girls and boys water polo team also showcased their strength, each securing a bronze medal for their outstanding efforts. The BIMSTEC Youth Aquatic Championship, initiated by the Indian government for 7 nations associated with the Bay of Bengal, marks its inaugural tournament. That came to you on Sports News.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
AIA Insurance continues its strategic expansion efforts with the opening of a new AIA RDO in Mathura. Situated at Gold Road, Walgawa, Mathura, this new office represents a significant milestone in AIA's commitment to enhance its distribution network and customer outreach. The opening ceremony marked the beginning of a new chapter for AIA, reinforcing the company's dedication to provide comprehensive financial solutions to the individuals and families. That ends Business News.
Business News, Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go එකක් තියන youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Itru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Moving on to economic news, the central bank has announced the appointment of 2 new members to its governing board. In a press release, communicating department of the bank said that Rajiv Amarasuriya and Mr. Manil Jayasinghe were appointed to the governing board with effect from 30th January and 1st of February respectively. That ends economic news.
Weather report.
Severe spells of showers will occur in the eastern and Over province and in the Polonnaruwa, Matali and Nuvareli districts. A few showers may occur in the Hambantota and Anuradhapura districts. Showers of thunderstorms may occur at a few places in the western and Sabaragamulla provinces and in the Gaul and Mathura districts after 2 p.m. Fairly strong winds of 30 to 40 km per hour can be expected at times on the eastern slopes of the central hills and in the northern, north-central, northwestern, Over and eastern provinces and in Hambantota district. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the western and Sabaragamulla provinces and in Gaul and Mathura districts during the morning. That ends weather report. To wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Calling applications for the Phase 2 of the Aswasuma Welfare Benefits Program will commence this week. Dr. Ramesh Patirana requested the trade unions to quit the trade union action, considering the inconvenience faced by the patients. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardene emphasizes that a government cannot function without a proper financial management. Cabinet nods for a proposed housing program for Sri Lankan overseas employees. National and children's hospitals are to be built in Biyagama. Foreign news, Delhi police fires tear gas to the thousands of protesting farmers. Sports news, swimming, Sri Lanka's aquatic heroines make the nation proud. With that, we conclude the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka. Back to my good friend and viewers, Chandima Virakon.